wages declined 1.7%. Who's responsible? Last week, the Wall Street Journal editorialized, the economy needed support early in the pandemic, but Congress's $900 billion COVID relief bill in December 2020 and the $1.9 trillion in spending the Democrats passed last March were overkill. The enormous income transfers reduced incentives to work, while at the same time giving people more money to spend. The Fed has helped mop up Congress's spending with bond buying, doubling its balance sheet to an astonishing $8.9 trillion. Its monthly purchases of Treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities were intended to reduce long-term interest rates, increase asset prices, and create a wealth effect that stimulated consumption. The biggest inflation mistake since the 1970s calls for a sharp turn in fiscal and monetary policy. The economy needs a trade and deregulation agenda that will lower prices, not a regulatory onslaught that will raise them. Unwinding this 2-year unprecedented monetary experiment will itself be an experiment. Washington had grown to believe that a new era of cost-free spending and low interest rates had dawned. The old fiscal and monetary verities no longer held, and those who warned about inflation were proclaimed to be dinosaurs from the Reagan era. Relearning those lessons will now be much harder than it should be, and the American worker will now pay the price. This is John McLaurie. Thanks for listening.
I'm Yvonne from VSECU, a credit union for everybody in Vermont. In the banking industry, the first few months of the year are focused on helping consumers consolidate debt, usually from the holidays because we've spent too much. Consolidating and transferring high balance cards to lower interest rate cards can be a smart move. At VSECU, we do it differently, though. We genuinely believe that we can use finance for social good. Our Vermont Platinum card offers an interest rate lower than average. In the social do-good part, our incentive is for you to buy local here in Vermont, and when you do, the interest rate is reduced even more. This Vermont-based low rate also applies to balance transfers when you choose to consolidate with VSECU. You can make a difference in Vermont when you use the Vermont Platinum card. That's how members make change simply by banking at VSECU.
This credit union is federally insured by the NCUA.
WDEV at 90 is underwritten by Northfield Savings Bank. They're the bank of you and everything you do at nsbvt.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Celebrating 90 years. WDEV.
More than 6 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's, with more than 11 million family members and friends serving as caregivers. The toll of the disease is monumental, and no one should face Alzheimer's or dementia by themselves. Free help is available 24/7. For resources and support, visit the Alzheimer's Association at alz.org or call the helpline at 800-272-3900. You are not alone.
Dell Technologies President's Day business sale has arrived. For a limited time, save up to 45% on all our latest gear to work from anywhere with fast free shipping. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business, so now's the time for incredible savings on PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping and quick installation and setup through Dell Installation Services. Get started by shopping online or contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. Again, the number to call is 877-ASK-DELL.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270VR Island Pond. The Brady Farkas Show is produced and funded by WDEV and the Radio Vermont Group. We welcome listener feedback. Email your comments to wdev@radiovermont.com.
The teams you care about.
When you think about the Patriots' needs this offseason, look for one trait: explosiveness.
The stories that matter to you.
I'm not convinced that Ben Shungu, that he's not the League Player of the Year.
This is your home for New England sports.
Bobby Dahlbeck playing third base this year? Now that is interesting.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show here on a Tuesday, a truly historic Tuesday. on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. First and foremost, we go up until 6:45. Then we've got high school basketball. Brent Curtis will be on the call there. He's got girls hoops, the play downs today. They begin 10-seeded Middlebury at 7-seeded Harwood. Again, our coverage begins at 6:45. It is a truly historic day here on WDEV. We've been doing this radio thing for 90 years. And now we continue to expand upon what we've built over the last 90 years. And I am really, really excited. I'm honored to be a part of the history and legacy of this station, and I'm excited for what is coming in the future. You're always going to be able to listen to us on the air. WDEV, AM and FM. That's always going to be the breadwinner. But we are doing everything we can to be everywhere you are. We're on WDEVradio.com. As of last week, we're on Facebook Live. And as of today, you can watch us on YouTube as well. The Brady Farkas Show is now airing in all of those various spots. WDEV, AM and FM in your car like we've always been. WDEVradio.com, streaming online or on your app like we've been for a few years now. And now you can watch the show every day on Facebook Live and on YouTube. That means if you're sitting at your computer, you can watch us. If you're sitting at your TV and you have access to things like the YouTube app, you can watch us there on your big screen. And you can also easily participate in the show by getting in your comments. It's never been easier to be a part of the show, and that is our goal. Our goal is to make it easier for you to interact with us, and our goal is to be where you are. I love that. I love that. I love being part of the history of this station, but I also love the innovativeness of this station. That's what we're going for. That's what we can keep doing to keep growing. Just because we're 90 years old doesn't mean we have to stay the same. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep innovating, and we're going to keep being a part of your daily lives. And as your daily life changes and your daily listening habits change and your movement changes, we're going to find you there too. So again, watch us on Facebook Live, watch us on YouTube, catch us on the app, catch us streaming, and listen to us on the air like you always have. We've got a ton of local stuff to get to today. You talk about WDEV being a live and local station for 90 years. Well, here we go. We're going right back to those local roots today. We were supposed to talk with Coach Brennan. Coach Brennan unable to join us today, so no TB, so that's fine. We'll go up until 6:45, and we'll make it without him. We do have notes, though, on UVM athletics. We've got some stuff on the Red Sox and Yankees, some stuff on the NFL, but also some stuff on high school sports, which is something that I want to start the show with today. So you can get in on the show in a bevy of different ways. Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. Your locally owned Napa stores in Waterbury and Morrisville. And the Facebook Live chat is open. The YouTube chat is open. And remember, tomorrow we're giving away a $25 gift card to the Valley Bowl. So if you want to be eligible to win that gift card, just tag somebody in any of those video streams that you think might like the show, and you can hang out with us as well. So we got a lot of people listening here. Bernie says hello from Colorado. Bernie is the old the old news guy over at Local 22, Local 44 News, and he's checking in with us now from Colorado at his new digs. So very, very cool to see Bernie Lang hanging out with us. So awesome. But yeah, love Bernie hanging out. We got Frank watching. So a lot of people checking us out on various different platforms. So really, really cool. All right, everybody, let's get right to it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and at Swanton Lumber. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I want to start here, and I don't talk, at least during the regular season, a ton of local high school sports. And the reason to me is pretty simple. Everybody has an interest in high school sports, but it's so segmented that it's hard to keep the entire audience engaged. If I spend 20 minutes talking about Harwood against Montpelier girls basketball, Well, a lot of the rest of the state has no interest. If I spend a whole hour talking about Enosburg against BFA St. Albans, a lot of the state has no interest. So that's why in the regular season, I don't spend a lot of time talking about individual games. This is a topic that affects the entire state. And as we hit the playoffs now in girls basketball, specifically tonight, it's a topic that I want to do here. And I need your interaction and your opinions on this. The girls' high school play downs start today, and there's games all throughout the week across the 4 divisions here in Vermont. I think that the state of Vermont and the Vermont Principals Association needs to change up how it does these high school playoffs. These play down games are happening, and I don't need to see 16 seeds playing 1 seeds and getting blasted by 50 and 60 points. Here's what I mean. And the girls basketball bracket is out. So let's look at this. In Division 2, you've got a play down where 5-15 Woodstock is taking on 15-2 Linden. In Division 3, it's even worse than that. You've got 0-19 Mill River going against 17-2 Windsor. You have 0-18 Randolph going against 18-0 Williamstown. In Division 4, you've got 1-15 Craftsbury going up against 18-2 West Rutland. My question to you is this. Do we really need those games? Do we really need to see 0-19 go up against 17-2 in the first round of the playoffs? There just has to be a better way, doesn't there? I'm happy that we've gotten to this point where there's sports again. I'm happy that we've gotten to the point where we've got playoffs and that, knock on wood, I haven't seen a COVID cancellation here, with any kind of regularity in a while. And now that we're back to somewhat of a sense of normalcy in our scheduling, my question is, do we really need to see these 16 seeds play 1 seeds? What is the benefit of having them? The benefit of having them is that the bracket works nice with it. The benefit is that these teams get an extra game in their season. Those reasons aren't good enough for me. I don't need to see 0-18 Randolph take on 18-0 Williamstown. The last time that those 2 teams played this year, do you know what the final score was? Williamstown won 66-13. The time before that they played this season, Williamstown won 54-14. Do I need a repeat in the playoffs? No, I don't. I'm not picking on the Randolph girls basketball team, but it articulates my point perfectly. Not only were there those 2 blowouts, they also lost games this year 62-16, 54-9, and 73-10. I don't need to see them go out and have that happen again just for the sake of them getting an extra game on their schedule. There has to be a better way. And I'll be honest, I don't know that I'm smart enough to fix the brackets. I spent all morning trying to figure out permutations on how to fix brackets. It was difficult. I'll give the VPA that. The bracket does work nice the way that it is, but could we get a play-in game between a 15 and a 16 seed and a play-in game between the 13 and 14? So at least somebody has won a game before they go get beaten by the 1 and 2 seeds. And the other team that lost doesn't have to go get slaughtered by the 1 and 2. They probably played a close game against the seed that's right around them. I mean, is there some kind of structure where we can give buys to the really good teams so that the really bad teams are matched up with 5 seeds and 6 seeds in their first game instead of 1s and 2s? I mean, and in my Randolph and Williamstown example, those 2 places are at least close geographically. In some cases around the state, that 16 seed has to travel 3 hours to get beat by 60 points. I don't think that we need that. I remember seeing soccer games where a 16 would play 1 and the final score is 14-0. Do we need that? Not only the loss, not only the embarrassment of the loss, but a 3-hour trip in some cases in order to get that loss. Nobody benefits from that. I always hear that adversity is good for kids and it helps them grow. And You know what? I largely agree with that. But these 15 and 16 seeds, guess what? They've had 18 to 20 games of adversity. Do they really need more? I bet if you ask them honestly, they would rather not play that extra playoff game than get embarrassed one more time. I don't agree with it. It's embarrassing, it's degrading, and it makes you not like your sport after a while. This isn't college. This isn't college. When March Madness comes out, when the bracket comes out in March Madness, and some team from the Sun Belt gets beat 100-47 by Gonzaga, I'm not going to have a problem with it. You know why? Because that team got something from the arrangement. That team won a conference tournament, experienced euphoria, celebrated in March Madness, watched the bracket come out in some room on their campus, probably got donations to the program as a result of it, got revenue for their conference for getting there, and in some cases probably could have won a play-in game already so they could say they have a tournament win. The 16 seed in college basketball, they get something from the arrangement. They experienced fun, energy, euphoria, the thrill of a lifetime, their fans storming the court with them. They got that. So if they get beat by 50 by Gonzaga, that doesn't bother me. It bothers me in high school. Do I need to see the Randolph girls basketball team get beat by Williamstown 74-9? No. And what fun is that for the winning team? It's a throwaway game to them. It's a throwaway game to the team that knows they're walking in to the Lions' den. This isn't good for anybody. High school sports is supposed to be about relationship building, character building, personal development, and fun. What fun is it to get beaten by 50 multiple times in a season and then have it happen to you one more time in the playoffs? It's not. How are you building up character in that situation? In fact, I think you're breaking character down. You're beating people down. These teams with bad records, look, they all try hard. They all like their sport. I give them incredible amounts of respect for coming back day in and day out with a good attitude and trying their best. They just don't have a good record this particular season. Yeah, they just don't have a good record this particular season. But what character are you building by getting beat by 50 again and again and again? I don't have the perfect answer. I already said that. Play-in games, more buys. Don't let everyone into the tournament. Knock the 15 and 16 seeds out. I don't care. Maybe here's an idea. Maybe we let 10 teams in the tournament. We have less playoff games, but we play double elimination. These kids are used to that from AAU. Somebody smarter than me at the VPA can figure that out. But I know this. In my world, 16 seeds aren't traveling to 1 seeds to get embarrassed for the 20th time this season. It's not right. It's not fair. And just because it makes the bracket look nice and work well, it shouldn't happen. That, to me, is not a justification. Your thoughts, 802-585-3026 on the Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line. And you can also get in on Facebook Live and YouTube as well. All right, let's go to the text line first. Brady, you are absolutely correct about high school. However, do we do that on a national level? He says you already answered that. I would say, yeah, I care in high school. I don't care in college because these schools have got something from it. And in a lot of college leagues, if you are that bad, you don't even make your conference tournament and the season just ends and you don't have to go and get slaughtered. So, I use Randolph girls basketball as one example. I mean, Craftsbury is 1-15 in their league. They've played some close games. There have been a lot closer than Randolph, but I mean, they also got beat this year 53-10 and 52-15. This is not a one school problem. This is a pervasive problem across multiple divisions in this state. So let's check in here and see what we're saying here on Facebook Live. Frank says, how can a girls basketball team how can they go 0 and whatever? There has to be a better way. Karen says, it used to be you had to win 8 games to the playoffs to make the playoffs, didn't it? I don't know what it used to be. Karen, that's a fair question. I haven't been here long enough to know what it used to be. But I can tell you that it shouldn't be this way now. I'd have to really do the math on how many games it would take, but I kind of like my idea of only letting the top 10 teams in, the top 12 teams in. Maybe that. Just knock off these teams that are 0 and 18. You can let them have a tournament with each other if they want, where the seeds 13 through 16 can play each other, and somebody at least is going to walk away with a couple of victories. There doesn't need to be a trophy. It doesn't need to be T-shirts and all that, but somebody at least can get a couple of wins, and the teams that lose probably aren't going to get beat by 50. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe when I was growing up, I played in what was called the Suburban Council, right? So we had 12 teams in the Suburban Council. Before we got to the playoffs, we had what was called the Suburban Council Tournament. And seeds 1 through 4, they played each other. Seeds 5 through 8, they played each other. And seeds 9 through 12 played each other. So it was all 12 of the teams that I played all year in 3 separate tournaments. So somebody was going to win. You could win the 1 through 4 tournament, the 5 through 8 tournament, the 9 through 12 tournament. Now, that was before the playoffs, but maybe the state could do something like that. The real playoff draw is seeds 1 through 12. The other tournament is seeds 13 through 16, but at least somebody wins and somebody didn't get killed. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Somebody says, who votes for Brady to be VPA commissioner? I don't think this takes being a commissioner to figure out. I think it takes compassion. These kids have already been through a lot, right? Last couple of years, they've had their championships canceled. They've had their season last year greatly impacted. Their season this year greatly impacted. They've played through a lot. They've played hard. They've tried. They don't have a good record. Don't make them go out for one more. Don't make them go out for one more like this, at least. There's got to be a better way. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. All right, Coach Brennan was supposed to be with us, but TB unable to today. That's okay. We'll catch up with him next week. In lieu of TB, I'll give you a little public service announcement on UVM athletics. I'll do that next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. And now, for the first time ever, you can watch us on Facebook Live and on YouTube. Just search on those 2 platforms for WDEV. The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Dell Technologies President's Day business sale has arrived. For a limited time, save up to 45% on all our latest gear to work from anywhere with fast free shipping. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business, so now's the time for incredible savings on PCs, along with servers, monitors, and docks, all with free shipping and quick installation and setup through Dell Installation Services. Get started by shopping online or contacting your Dell Technologies advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL. Again, the number to call is 877-ASK-DELL.
God, I'm so stressed. It's a brand new year and our business is busier than ever.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 35 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Starts at $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Visit Ooma.com. That's OOMA.com to learn more. Ooma. Smart communications for the smarter business.
Hi, it's Tara from Green Mountain Solar. Since day one, our goal has been to provide the best solar experience in Vermont. But you don't have to take our word for it. Here are a few of our customers sharing why they picked Green Mountain Solar.
I went with Green Mountain Solar because a friend of mine had a really great experience with them. I felt immediately a sense of integrity from start to finish.
I'm a firm believer of getting quotes from multiple companies, so we actually had 3 companies come out and he answered all my questions, and frankly he made it so that it was super easy for me, which is, and we're, especially in today's day and age, we have 2 young kids, so the easier it is for me, the better.
There's just these panels up on my roof, and they do this job of bringing electricity to the house that runs, everything.
If this sounds like the solar experience you're looking for, visit our website at greenmtnsolar.com.
It feels like magic to me, to be honest.
Bargain Hunters, the Trading Post online marketplace, is where you can get deeply discounted deals, massages, memberships, Vermont flannel gift cards. Right now, get a $25 gift certificate to Valley Bowl and Randolph for $20, a $50 gift certificate to Twin City Family Fun Center for $40, and a Modio Rec 1-year family membership valued at over $500 is just $350. Find a full listing of these deals and more at WDEVradio.com. WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting strong communities by helping local governments since 1986.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
This is Field Yates of ESPN, and you're listening to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV Radio and the WDEV app.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. Let us know how you're enjoying watching us on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live as well. It's a new day for WDEV. And by the way, what this is also really exciting for me, at least, is that with this video component now, we're really going to be able to repurpose our show in a lot of ways. Like if you follow me on Twitter at WDEV Radio Brady, or you follow me on Instagram, you can search for me there, Brady Farkas, you can see a lot of short video clips now from our show, which is something we hadn't always done before. So with a lot more video available, you're going to see our content in a lot more places. And that's something that is very, very exciting to me as well. So, Karen says no one benefits from these games. We were just talking about the high school games. Tim, who's my dad, says that I'm wearing a good baseball cap today. He's watching on YouTube. I'm wearing a White Sox hat today. I got a hat of every team, so don't read too much into it all. But I got a hat of every team, and sometimes I wear different ones. So if you're offended I'm not wearing a Red Sox one, then there you go. That's why I just wear a hat of everybody. Dane in Rochester. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Brady, I love your show. I love giving you a hard time, but your bit on this high school playoff season really makes me realize you didn't grow up in a small town. I went to a small school, graduated with 11 kids, and we did all right. But I assure you it means more than just winning for these small towns and schools. It's about playing, not necessarily winning. It's playing for a school that's been established for years and generations, the teams your parents played on, the team your grandparents played on, and losing creates just as much character as winning, no matter the spread. Dane, I disagree with you. I appreciate you listening. I'm glad that you listened. I'm glad you took the time to send me a thoughtful comment. All that means a lot to me. I don't believe that. Yes, playing for your school is always going to be fun. Playing for the name on the front of the jersey that your parents or grandparents wore, that's always going to be meaningful. Is it really necessary for teams to go 0-20 and get sent in to lose a playoff game by 70? You're really telling me that somebody is excited to wear their high school uniform and then go get beat by 65. I don't believe that. And losing creates just as much character as winning. These teams have already lost a lot. 0-19, Mill River is. 0-18, Randolph is. If losing creates character, I think the character has already been established at that rate. Why are you against my idea of a lower seeded tournament? What would be wrong in that? Dane, answer that question if you're still listening, please, because if I'm telling you the regular playoffs can be seeds 1 through 12, and we can get a lower seeded tournament that seeds 13 through 16, haven't we accomplished more? The kids still get to wear the uniform. The kids still get to honor their small town. The kids still get to honor the legacy of their parents and grandparents that also wore that jersey. And the kids get a chance to actually win, or at least play in a game that's close. What would be the harm in that? And just maybe that small town will rally around them and they'll actually go to those games. If it means as much as you say it does to the towns and to the communities, and I believe that it does, if it means as much to the community as you tell me, then I bet you the community would come rally behind a 16 seed when they're playing a 13 seed with a chance to win, as opposed to, you know what, I'm not going to go to a 16 versus a 1 where the final score is going to be 74-9. I think that is absolutely true. So there you go. I think that is, off the top of my head, a very good way to look at things. Nobody benefits from this. You can spare me with the small town, it means more. It does mean more, but it means more if you don't get beat by 65 also. Let's play a lower seeded tournament. If you don't like the idea of cutting the playoffs off at a certain threshold, then give me a lower seeded tournament where the games are close. I'd be a lot more interested in that. I don't think a 16 seed is going to beat a 1 seed in any of these sports. I just don't think it's going to happen. So I don't think we're missing out on some great small town upset story if we don't let them in the playoffs as a 16 seed. I'm not saying that they don't deserve to play games. I'm saying they shouldn't have to be embarrassed one more time when it's already been a season full of embarrassment. And I don't think this isn't I'm being soft just because they're girls. I'd say the exact same thing about guys. Okay, I'd say the exact same thing about guys. If losing creates character, if adversity creates character, if iron sharpens iron, it's already been established. Okay, it's already been established. They're high school kids. They're not college kids. College kids are on scholarship. College kids won a title. College kids, that's different. This is not that. High school sports is at its core supposed to be about fun. A lot of people have told me Vermont high school sports is not solely about winning. So if it's not solely about winning, if it's not solely about developing talent for the next level, then it's got to be about fun. How fun is it to get beat by 65 over and over again? Frank says that Commissioner Brady is right and keeping in line with family tradition. Also says that listening here on YouTube or watching on YouTube is an upgrade from my car radio. So there you go. Happy that everybody is. I don't care how you watch us. I just want you to watch us. That's the answer. I don't care how you find us. I just want you to find us. I didn't get to give my PSA on UVM athletics. I will do that in the 6 o'clock hour. Remember, high school basketball tonight, appropriately, girls playdowns, 10th seeded Middlebury against 7th seeded Harwood. We'll have that game for you at 6:45. When we come back, the America East, we know now who they may be targeting as a new team to replace Stony Brook. I'm very, very underwhelmed. I'll tell you who might be UVM's newest competition in the league within the next couple of years, and I'll tell you why I'm against this move. We'll get to all of that after the CBS News Update on the Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com, the WDEV app, and now on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live as well. It's the CBS News Update. We'll be back with more right here on WDEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier, streaming at WDEVradio.com. 90 years of serving Vermont, the friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Dell Small Business.
I'm Matt Piper in New York. President Biden calls the events now underway in Ukraine the beginning of a Russian invasion. Because of it, he joined other NATO allies in unveiling new sanctions to punish Russia.
Russia, some of its banks, and its oligarchs are being hit by sanctions after Russian troops moved into eastern Ukraine.
So today, I'm announcing the first tranche of sanctions to impose costs on Russia in response to their actions yesterday.
In a speech at the White House, the president spoke about Putin in unusually personal terms.
Who in the Lord's name does Putin think gives him the right to declare new so-called countries on territory that belong to his neighbors?
Christopher Cruz, CBS News, Washington.
Correspondent Holly Williams is in Ukraine where the fighting has been underway.
We heard the almost constant thud of heavy artillery. It's the same in other small towns and villages close to the front line, and many of those places are still shattered and splintered after previous violence in 2014, 2015, 2016. So it's clearly very distressing for people in this area.
There are fears of rising gas prices over the fighting. The president says his administration is using every tool at its disposal to limit the effect of sanctions on domestic gas prices, but he warned Americans will likely see rising prices in the coming months. A second round of winter weather is hitting Minnesota. That is what it sounds like in Alexandria, Minnesota. During this morning's commute alone, there were 80 crashes statewide. And CBS News meteorologist David Parkinson says the winter weather is not just there.
It's now moving through portions of California. It will move into the Rockies, the Wasatch, and then even into portions of Arizona that do not typically get a ton of snow.
Tomorrow marks 2 years since the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. While the 3 white men were convicted in November, they were also just found guilty today of hate crimes. CBS's Skylar Henry.
Ahmaud Arbery's family raised their arms in victory.
Ahmaud will continue to rest in peace, but he will now begin to rest in power.
A federal jury found racism motivated 3 white men to chase down and kill 25-year-old Ahmaud Arbery while he was out jogging 2 years ago.
That anti-COVID mandate trucker convoy in Canada, they could be coming to the D.C. area, as CBS's Scott McFarlane reports.
The Pentagon says both Washington, D.C. and the U.S. Capitol Police have asked for National Guard assistance to respond to any disruptions at key traffic arteries. The head of a truck convoy departing Scranton, Pennsylvania, says they'll be protesting and tying up traffic on the Capitol Beltway around Washington.
And that could happen as soon as tomorrow. The Dow lost 483, NASDAQ down 167. This is CBS News.
It's time for Dell Technologies President's Day deals on business PCs. Call 877-ASK-DELL. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business.
Hey, country music fans, Lee Bryce here, inviting you to go on tour with me and my band. Play the Vermont Lottery's $5 Big Country Cash instant ticket, and you could win up to $20,000. And there's a second chance drawing to join me on the road. And we're talking concerts, backstage passes, and more. Basically, where I go, you go, all in the comfort of a luxury tour bus. For your chance to say, hey, I'm with the band, try the Big Country Cash instant ticket. I like your soul. Visit a Vermont Lottery retailer today. Please play responsibly.
Push it, pull it, or tow it sale is back at Lamoille Valley Chevy. We would like to thank all our customers and our entire team for helping Lamoille Valley Chevy become the #1 volume Chevy truck dealer in Vermont for the 2nd year in a row. Due to the success of the Countdown to 4,000, our lot is now overstocked with more one-owner, low-mileage, late-model cars, trucks, and SUVs than I can remember, and I've instructed my entire team we need to sell them down. Here's how the push it, pull it, or tow it sale works. Through the end of February, anyone can push, pull, or tow any single trade to Lamoille Valley Chevy and get a $3,000 minimum trade allowance toward any in-stock pre-owned car, truck, or SUV on our lot. Don't worry. If your trade is worth more, you're going to get it. And folks, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we have a huge selection of certified pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs that come with a better-than-new 100,000-mile warranty, and you can get a guaranteed minimum trade allowance of $3,000 on these vehicles, too. So get to the push it, pull it, or tow it sale happening right now at Lamoille Valley Chevy. And remember, at Lamoille Valley Chevy, we know price matters.
We all know that Vermont is a place like no other. Join host Ricks and Gary for Vermont Viewpoint, weekday mornings from 9 to 11, as he celebrates what makes Vermont so unique and special. If you can't listen live, you can always listen to the free podcast available at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by The Warren Store. funky, friendly, and almost world-famous WarrenStore.com. The Vermont Viewpoint Podcast at WDEVradio.com. Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. You can check us out, Napa Morrisville, Napa Waterbury text line, 802-585-3026, Facebook Live, YouTube Live as well. I'm going to tell you about the new team that the America East is reportedly targeting, but I mentioned historic day today on DEV. Not only are we on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, I've also realized that we can play voicemails from the text line. Here's what happens. We don't have the ability, our text line number is not tied to a live phone. So if you call the text line number, we cannot take your call live on the air. However, you can leave a voicemail on our text line, and we can play it after the fact. So I was talking about high school sports a lot of the show. I get a call. I see we're getting a call, but we can't answer the call from Ray in Whitehall, New York. So Ray in Whitehall, New York is listening, and here's what Ray has to say. He loves my idea.
But, yeah, and in Whitehall, their division and what they do at the end of the season in this Adirondack League, they have crossover games. The worst teams play the worst, best play the best. They have a team championship, and it also helps out with pairings for sectionals. So I totally agree, and no one likes to lose by 40. There's no doubt about that. Thank you very much. I love your show.
Thank you very much, Ray in Whitehall. So I am very excited technologically today. Like, this is the most excited technologically I've been in a very long time. We got the show live. We got comments coming in from everybody. We've got Ray in Whitehall calling us. We're playing the voicemail. I am very, very excited technologically. And then after the show, we're going to have a ton of social media because of all the video now that we're going to have access to. This is very, very good stuff. So here's what we've got. Here's some news that I've been getting that I kind of got through back channels, and now I've seen it out more publicly. So it's not a surprise, or it's not a secret, rather. We know that the America East is reportedly targeting Bryant University now to be a member of the conference. We know that Stony Brook's out at the end of the year. We know Hartford is out within a couple of years because they're going to Division III. So really, the America East Conference probably needs 2 members if it wants to keep its current number of schools. So we know now at least one of those schools is Bryant University. This doesn't do anything for me. Bryant potentially coming to the America East does absolutely nothing for me. I'm going to look at men's basketball specifically first because that's the thing that affects UVM the most. That is the thing that the conference cares about the most. So let's start with just men's basketball. Bryant came from Division II to Division I back in 2008. Since then, they've had 3 winning seasons. 3 winning seasons. And this year's going to be 4. Give them credit. 4 winning seasons it will be in 15 years. I'm not interested in that. I want the America East to get better. I told you a few weeks ago that rather than just try to up and leave the conference, I was going to try to use Stony Brook and Hartford's departures as a way to strengthen the conference for my benefit. Bryant doesn't do that. 4 winning seasons in 15 years. It's a historically bad program from a historically bad league. If you look at the conference rankings, and I know nobody wants to get lost in the analytics of this whole thing, but the RPI rankings, the Northeast Conference, of which Bryant plays in right now, is ranked 29th out of 32 teams, or out of 32 leagues. So you're giving me, again, a historically bad team in a historically bad league. And you want to tell me that that is a good addition to the America East Conference that will help elevate UVM? It's not. It's not. if you don't want UVM to leave for greener pastures, if you are somebody that wants UVM to stay in the America East and you don't want to explore the Atlantic 10 or the American Athletic Conference or or anything, if you don't want to do that stuff, fine. But make the America East as good as you possibly can, and this ain't that. And then that was just men's basketball. If you want to go look at the other sports that the America East really cares about, it's women's basketball, it's men and women's soccer, and it's men and women's lacrosse. And you know what? Bryant is only relevant in one of those things. One. You've got a 6-sport thing there that we can say the America East cares about. Men and women's basketball, that's 2. Men and women's lacrosse, that's 4. Men and women's soccer, that's 6. Out of those 6, Bryant is relevant in 1. Men's lacrosse. Multiple conference championships in that sport. Everything else, largely irrelevant. I'm not interested. I'm not interested. This does nothing for me. This idea of adding Bryant does nothing for me. And then the other school that I've read a little bit about is Sacred Heart out of Connecticut, possibly being a target for the America East. I mean, Sacred Heart appears to be only relevant in women's basketball, and that's it. So again, out of the 6 sports that the league would covet, men and women's basketball, men and women's lacrosse, men and women's soccer, Sacred Heart is good at 1. These schools are not able to compete in their current crummy league in the sports the league cares about. You really think they're going to come into the America East and make it better? They're not. I want UVM to win the league, 100%, but I also want them to be challenged, because in being challenged, in the league being elevated, you get to a point where your league profile gets raised, your league respect level gets raised, and now UVM gets an opportunity to get better seeds in the tournament. If Bryant comes to the league, if Sacred Heart comes to the league, you are being weighed down if you are UVM. I'm not interested in being weighed down. I'm interested in being elevated. I want Catamount Country to go to the NCAA tournament regularly, but if you start adding Bryant and Sacred Heart and making your league worse, you're headed for a 15 seed all the time. I want UVM to be headed for a 13 seed and, God willing, a 12 someday. That's why I told you I wanted to add Quinnipiac. I know it would be hard. I know it's difficult to pry a team away from their current conference. I totally get that. But at least make a run at it. Quinnipiac has the money and the resources to be competitive in this league and eventually elevate it, and Bryant and Sacred Heart don't appear to. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio, he broadcasts basketball games for the Northeast Conference. I'm going to ask him these questions tomorrow, and we're going to see what he says. Wagner, that's a pretty good program out of the Northeast Conference, but Sacred Heart and Bryant, historically irrelevant in the sports that the conference cares about. I saw it opined on social media that the America East is in, quote, survival mode with these possible additions. And that is kind of what it seems like. It doesn't seem like the league is either capable or interested in elevating the teams in it. Because Bryant and Sacred Heart, that ain't it. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We get some people who say that, the America East Conference would not be better with these additions. We also get Ray in Whitehall who says, thank you, Brady. I will text next time as opposed to calling. Well, Ray, now that we know how to answer the calls, well, we can't answer them, but we know how to play the voicemails back, then I would say that we're okay. We are okay. So on another America East front here, let's go this. Let's go. I told you we had a lot of local stuff today. With the end of football season, we have a lot of local stuff. The athletes of Stony Brook are now speaking out about being banned from the America East Conference tournament. Remember this? The league is punishing Stony Brook by saying, hey, you're leaving the conference. Now your teams cannot play for conference championships. So that's where we're at. The Stony Brook athletes have spoken out on this. They want the decision reversed, and they're citing a ruling that did overturn this same type of thing for Illinois Chicago within the Horizon League. I'm with them. I am with the athletes of Stony Brook. As much as I want UVM to get to the NCAA tournament, I don't want them to get there this way. I want them to have to go through the entire gauntlet, and Stony Brook is part of that gauntlet this year. I am tired of college kids paying for the decisions of full-blown, money-hungry adults. I am tired of that. Going to the Colonial Athletic Conference, that's great for Stony Brook's rep. It's great for Stony Brook's financial situation, I'm sure. And it might end up being okay for them athletically down the road. But all of that is in the future. And what I am worried about is the now. And right now, these student athletes, they deserve the opportunity to compete for conference championships. Stony Brook women's basketball is 23-3. They deserve to go dancing. And I don't care if they're leaving the conference at the end of the year. It wasn't those female athletes' decision to leave the conference and to leave it now. All they're doing is dominating, and they deserve a chance to represent the America East in the tournament and a chance to get there. They're 23-3. Stony Brook women's lacrosse is number 4 nationally. Not number 4 in the America East. They are ranked 4th in the entire country. And they are going into their season without a chance to win the conference tournament. That is unheard of to me. Stony Brook baseball, preseason number 1, has an opportunity to play in a regional, a super regional, the College World Series, and it won't happen because this ruling by the league. It's wrong. And it's unfair. I get it. You want there to be a consequence for leaving the league. Then take the playoff revenue and give it to the other teams. Make them pay a massive a lease break fee. You have an apartment, you have a lease, you break the lease, you pay a penalty. You want to do that to Stony Brook? That's fine. I don't care. But don't punish the student athletes. They didn't create this problem. They don't deserve this, and they do deserve a chance to get to the tournament. I want UVM men's basketball, UVM women's basketball, UVM men and women's lacrosse. I want them all to get to the NCAA tournament, but they should have to go through Stony Brook in order to get there. And that's just the way I feel. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. We hear that, those stats for Stony Brook are overpowering for the America East, but it does prove your point that they deserve an opportunity to play. So let's move over now. We do this every single day. Let's get to Who's Saying What.
Whoa. What did he say?
Mac Jones? Good Lord. Mel Kiper's got to slow down on this. Mac Jones ain't going to work, folks. It's not going to work. He's got to come to terms with it. It's not going to work.
They really said that?
Every damn thing is politics and race, and I'm losing my mind over it.
It's time for Who's Saying What on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Who's Saying What is brought to you by Vermont Laser Wash. That is Central Vermont's home of unlimited car washes, and they begin at only $20 a month. So $20 a month gets you unlimited car washes. You got snow, salt, dirt, grime all around your vehicle. Get it washed every single day, just $20 a month. If you want just one free car wash, then you can text the word Vermont to the number 30, followed by 400. A few things here in Who's Saying What from former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores, who appeared on the I Am Athlete podcast with former NFL wide receiver Brandon Marshall. Couple of things that were interesting in this podcast. Here's Flores talking about Bill Belichick and why he's the GOAT.
You said that easy. I mean, I think the one thing people don't know about Bill is he listens. You know, he listens. So if you have, and again, you gotta earn the right for him to listen. But if you have an idea, if you have a thought, if you have a person, there's a matchup that you think that we can win, a part in the game that like he'll listen. He may add something to it. He may throw it out, but he listens. I think that's one of his greatest strengths and something I try to take from him, and when I was in Miami.
That just makes me happy to hear. Simply put, that just makes me happy to hear. It makes me happy that Bill Belichick is collaborative and that Bill Belichick respects his assistants. And I've always thought that was the case, but it's nice to see that Bill Belichick can trust his assistants, can empower his assistants, can give his assistants a voice, and can delegate responsibility, because I don't think for head coaches in the NFL, that's always the case. Now, in modern day football, coaches know that they're on the hot seat the minute they arrive. They know they have a short shelf life, and I think they feel pressure very, very quickly. And when you feel that pressure, you tend to get desperate. And when you get desperate, you tend to stop being collaborative. You start thinking you need to do everything yourself, that you have to fix everything, and you get this vibe about you that you can't trust anybody else. That's what desperate people do. And I think almost instantly, NFL coaches feel desperate. Remember back to when you were in school. Think about this. You're driving in your car. You're watching on YouTube. You're watching on Facebook Live. Wherever you're watching, just think about this. Remember when you were in school and when you had a group project? The teacher would give you a group project and you'd have a month to do it. For the first couple of weeks, the first 2 weeks, you talk with everybody. They'd all be on the group email. They'd all be on the group text. You'd go to the library together. You'd take everyone's advice. But then as the deadline mounted, or the deadline neared and the pressure mounted, how many of you would just take the bull by the horns and say, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. Thanks for everything you've done. I got it from here. We really need this. We really need a good grade. I'm just going to run with this myself. Probably a lot of you did. That's how NFL coaches are. Bill Belichick, in Brian Flores' words, is not that guy. He is collaborative. He listens. He may not always agree, but he will empower you to give your opinion, and that is very, very important. So, and I recognize Bill Belichick has the cachet. He doesn't feel the pressure that other coaches feel. He's not instantly on the clock like other coaches are. So I know it's easier for him to act that way, and I recognize that. But it did make me happy to hear Brian Flores say that Bill Belichick gave his assistants a voice. All right. Another thing that was interesting from the I Am Athlete podcast with Brian Flores was asked about his relationship with Belichick since Flores used the Belichick text messages in the lawsuit against the NFL. Remember this? Bill Belichick allegedly texted Brian Flores thinking he was texting Brian Dable. And he told Brian Dable, basically, it's your job to lose with the New York Giants. And Flores included that in the lawsuit against the NFL because he said, whoa. Belichick says Dable's getting the job, and I haven't even interviewed yet. So that's why Flores thinks that he is going on a fool's errand interview with the Giants. Here's what Flores said about everything.
To me, I thought it was specific to the lawsuit in that it confirmed a lot of things that I thought were going on. That I think a lot of black and minority coaches think are going on. It kind of confirmed it for me. As far as having a fair and equal opportunity to go and interview and show your acumen, show your intelligence, show your ability to lead, show your your willingness and your leadership. And oftentimes that it's not a fair and equal playing field.
I understand why Brian Flores included the Bill Belichick text messages. I think that they do prove Brian Flores' point to a large degree. I think it's very relevant. Before Flores went on the Giants interview, before he would have satisfied the Rooney Rule, Bill Belichick is saying the job has already been decided. So yes, I think it does show Flores' point that he was headed out on a job interview that he had no chance of winning the job. I think it matters, and I think they solidify what Brian Flores felt and what he thinks minority coaches go through. But that said, I think he needed to have a conversation with Bill Belichick about it all. He didn't tell Belichick he was going to include those text messages in the lawsuit against the NFL. Belichick and Flores haven't spoken about it, haven't spoken since the lawsuit came out, and it would appear the relationship isn't real cuddly at the moment. As a peer, as a friend, as a former coworker, don't you need to at least make Belichick aware? I understand that Belichick could try to talk Flores out of it, and that's not what Flores would want. But I do think there's a degree of professional courtesy that needs to be extended to someone that you worked with for a number of years. If Bill Belichick truly made a mistake in his text message, and Flores, by his own admission, thinks that Belichick made a mistake, doesn't Belichick deserve the professional and personal courtesy of Flores to say to him, hey, I know maybe you didn't mean to do this, but this proves my point, and I'm using them in a lawsuit against the NFL. Belichick may not like it, but doesn't he at least deserve the professional courtesy? I know you're fighting for something way bigger than yourself and way bigger than Bill Belichick, but I think that a little heads up would have been warranted there before Flores went and used those text messages to the league. Your thoughts, 802-585-3026, also on the Facebook live chat as well as the YouTube live chat where you can always get in on the show. And then finally, there's this. We know now that Brian Flores has gotten a new job in the NFL. He has gotten a job with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to serve as their linebackers coach. He is largely overqualified for that job, having been a de facto defensive coordinator with the Patriots, while also having served as a head coach and having a winning record having a 500 record in Miami. So he's overqualified for this job. Former Steelers defensive back Ryan Clark was on ESPN today and spoke about it.
None of the other coaches in the NFL, I guess now it would be 28 white coaches, for none of those coaches to see the value in a guy like Brian Flores continues to show what the NFL truly is, that the NFL is the good old boy crew, and that what 29 white billionaire male owners will do is they will collude. And we've talked about this through the NFLPA, and I think this is a bad look on the league, but a good look for the Steelers, a good look for Mike Tomlin.
I don't agree with the term collusion from Ryan Clark, but I do largely agree with what Clark has to say. First and foremost, I think that the hire of Brian Flores is great for the Pittsburgh Steelers, pure football-wise. The Steelers got a great defensive mind to help them in a very talented offensive division. This is a Steelers team that needs to find a way to stop Lamar Jackson. It's a Steelers team that needs to find a way to stop Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, that needs to find a way to stop Nick Chubb and a really talented Browns offensive line. The AFC North is very good and it's very deep, and having Brian Flores in it can only help you. So if the Steelers want to get back to prominence in that division, this is a great move for them purely football-wise. But I do agree with Clark. I don't think that this is a great position for the league to be in, because Brian Flores gets hired by Mike Tomlin, who is one of the few black coaches in the NFL. It feels like that Brian Flores felt his only option was with another black coach. It looks like that a black coach, to Clark's point, is the only one that would hire Brian Flores. And it looks like black people feel obligated to look out for black people. And that shouldn't be the case. What should be the case is that we as a society should be looking out for each other, that we as a society should be hiring the best people and the most qualified people. But to Clark's point, it looks like none of the white people in the league would hire Brian Flores. So the black coach had to hire the black coach and had to do the job instead. That shouldn't be the case. And this shouldn't be that hard to me. I'm sorry. I know it's naive, and I know that there's way more at play, but it shouldn't be that hard to just hire the best people and to just treat people with respect. This country's been trying to find that answer for 250 years, though. So I get it's apparently more difficult than it should be, but it should just be the best qualified person should get the job. And Brian Flores is a linebackers coach. He'd be an upgrade over, probably 32 different linebackers coaches around the NFL. He's better than that job that he has now. I think Ryan Clark is largely right. I don't think it's collusion, but I don't think that it looks good that Brian Flores either felt the only place he was welcome was on a black coach's staff, or that black coach felt he had to do the job that no one else would do. Doesn't sit right with me. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. High school basketball comes up about 15 minutes from now. I'm going to get you that PSA on UVM athletics. I hope you all take note of it, what I'm about to tell you. That's next on DEV.
Hi, this is Kim Farnham. I'm the Director of Community Relations and Development at Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice. Many of you have received your town meeting day ballots in the mail or are preparing to vote in person next Tuesday, March 1st. Please consider voting yes for CVHH's town funding request. As a mission-driven organization, CVHH cares for Central Vermonters of all ages in the 23 towns in our service area, regardless of their insurance status or ability to pay. Town funding helps CVHH raise much-needed funds that we put right back into caring for you, your loved ones, and neighbors at home. It ensures that people have equal access to high-quality medical care, education, and supportive care services where they want it, at home. Visit our website or follow CVHH on Facebook to meet some of our supporters and learn about why they support CVHH's town funding request. Vote yes for CVHH. Thank you so much for your support.
WDEV at 90 is brought to you in part by New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, supporting one-of-a-kind local businesses like WDEV to preserve the distinct character of Vermont.
The Vermont legislature can act today to protect your most delicate organ, your eyes. Optometrists don't graduate from medical school, no hospital internship, and no surgical residency. They are not medical doctors, and they are not trained surgeons. But they want Vermont lawmakers to allow them to perform surgery using scalpels and lasers on and around the only eyes you'll ever have. Your state senator can keep our eyes safe by voting no on Senate Bill 158. Contact your state senators today. Tell them to vote no on Senate Bill 158. Only medical doctors and trained eye surgeons should be allowed to operate on the only eyes you'll ever have. For more information, visit www.safesurgerycoalition.org/Vermont. Paid for by the Vermont Ophthalmological Society.
Just because you're away from your radio or out of our broadcast range doesn't mean you have to miss out. Listen live on the WDEV stream, brought to you by AARP Vermont. WDEV's morning, midday, and afternoon news services, Vermont Viewpoint, and the Brady Farkas Show can all be found on the WDEV stream at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by AARP Vermont, working to bring down the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans. AARP.org/VT.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. High school basketball comes up about 12 minutes from now. Brent Curtis on the call. Girls hoops, Middlebury at Harwood in the Vermont State playoffs in the playdowns. So, show brought to you in part by Pro Driver Training. That's Pro Driver Training, Vermont's premier truck driver training school, online at prodrivercdl.com. I want to issue a quick public service announcement to all of you sports fans out there, all of you sports loving people in the state of Vermont. I want to issue you a public service announcement. As playoff season is here and approaches, I want you to go out and support UVM women's athletics. That's the PSA. That's the challenge. That's the advice. That's the directive. The The playoffs are here in women's hockey. The playoffs are coming in women's basketball. I want you to go out and support these UVM women's teams because it's been pretty darn cool to watch what they've done over the course of the year, and now's the time. They deserve your support. The UVM women's hockey team just posted its best season ever. They have a home playoff game coming up on Saturday afternoon at noon at the Gut. Go out and watch them. For so long, this program has taken a backseat to the men's program. Even if the men's program hasn't been that great, all we focused on has been the men's program. This UVM women's program won 21 games this year. They got the number 2 seed in the Hockey East playoffs. They got into the top 10 for the first time ever in the national rankings, and they beat the number 1 team in the country. They deserve your support, your attention, your energy, and your eyeballs. Go out and watch that game on Saturday. We talk about the chicken and the egg and what comes first and all this. A lot of people say, I'll go to the women's games if they're any good. Well, you know what? The women's team is not just any good. They're very good. They're very interesting. The games do matter. They really mean something. And this program has an opportunity to win a Hockey East championship and has an opportunity to get to an NCAA tournament. And oh, by the way, they've got a great goaltender in Jesse McPherson. They've got Teresa Schaffsal, who just set the program's all-time record for single season goals and points.
Schaffsal through the middle, goes across. Schaffsal scores! Wow, what a rifle by Teresa Schaffsal. And she now holds the Vermont record in a single season for goals and points.
They're good, they're fun, and they've got opportunity. They deserve your support. Secondly, UVM women's basketball. They've clinched a home game in the America East playoffs at Patrick Gym. This team is 11-5 in conference. They've got 17 wins on the season thus far. They've got a local product in CVU guard Catherine Gilwey, who's been in the starting lineup for much of the season. I went and looked. The last decade's worth of information is easily available on UVM's website. UVM women's basketball has not had a winning record in the last decade. This year, they're 17-10, and they've got a 667 to 670 winning percentage in conference. It's been a great turnaround. Elisa Kresge has the program moving in the direction that she wants it to. They, too, deserve your support. They're fun. They're energetic. They've got a starting 5 where all 5 can get buckets. You want to do your part to grow. We talk about diversity. Diversity means a lot of different things. Diversity also means supporting female athletics. And these teams at UVM are really good this year. I hope they'll be really good forever, but they're really good right now. So don't just put it off and say, I'll follow them next year. Go now. Home playoff game for women's basketball, home hockey game for women's hockey, Saturday at noon. Playoffs are here. They've got a chance to win a Hockey East title. I didn't think that I'd be saying that multiple years ago. I wasn't sure we'd get to this point. We're here. We're here. This program is nationally recognized. They're a real threat. They're a lot of fun. And they deserve our support. Again, Jim Plumer, the coach of the UVM women's hockey team, he's going to stop by probably Friday here on the Brady Farkas Show ahead of that matchup. All right, as we get ready to close out the show here, a couple of news and notes from the baseball negotiations today. Today was not as good a day as yesterday. We heard after yesterday that the tone was a lot better between the two sides, the owners and the players group. But today it doesn't seem like a whole lot got done. I mean, here's what we've got. The union made incremental increases on things. The league made incremental increases on things. So bottom line is these two sides are moving at a snail's pace. We're really hoping that a deal comes together this week. You got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You've got those 3 days here during the work week that we hope we can get something done. And right now, at this rate, it's going to take a long time. Somebody's going to have to move the needle in a big way to get this thing going. And I recognize the players don't want to give ground. I recognize the owners don't want to give ground. It's hard for both sides. I get that. But for the good of the game, somebody's going to have to make the first move. Somebody is going to have to make the first move. Jesse Rogers of ESPN says they didn't really even discuss the competitive balance tax. That's the biggest sticking point we have. So minor leaguers and how many players and arbitration and all that, it's all important. None of it's bigger than the CBT, and we didn't even get there today. So the league was underwhelmed. They're not thrilled. The union went backwards on certain things in their opinions. So we go tomorrow. That's all we can say. We go tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. We're going to talk tomorrow with Red Sox insider Tom Caron over at Nesson. He's going to be with us on the Brady Farkas Show at 5:45. Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio is going to stop by as well. So we will get Freddie's opinion. Specifically, what I want to hear about is his thoughts on the Northeast Conference and how we may get something, or rather his thoughts on Bryant and Sacred Heart, who are possible targets for the America East. So interesting stuff there. Tons to get to. Thanks to everybody who joined in on Facebook Live. Thanks to everybody who joined in on YouTube Live. A historic day here on WDEV, and we're going to keep it going every single day. Follow me on Twitter at WDEV Radio Brady. Follow our station on Facebook. Just search for WDEV. Follow us on YouTube, and you can watch us every single day and see a lot of our video being repurposed. So a lot of fun here to come and continued growth. 90 years, well, we're just getting ready for the next 90, seeing how we can keep expanding things. Middlebury at Harwood girls basketball is coming up next. Brent Curtis will be on the call here. Play down action, girls high school hoops. It's the Tigers and the Highlanders. It's all to come right here on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Always streaming on the WDEV radio app. And hey, a lot of talk about video today. Don't forget the podcast of our show. The version for you is free on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Tom Caron, Freddie Coleman. We'll hear from them. High school basketball is next on DEV.
Hi, it's Tara from Green Mountain Solar. Since day one, our goal has been to provide the best solar experience in Vermont. But you don't have to take our word for it. Here are a few of our customers